So thank you for joining. If I have not met you, my name is Jahan Corbin, and this is my friend Lynn.
Yeah.
And we are both breast cancer survivors. We were both fortunate enough to be founding members on the board of Breast Cancer Recovery in Action. And we're an organization that provides resources for women who are navigating breast cancer, just all kinds of resources. This BRA Banter is a monthly offering that we do. It's a free informal Zoom call that we just try to pick topics that are relevant to the breast cancer community and provide some things that we know we could have used and would have liked when we were moving through treatment. So welcome. It's good to see all of you.
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to cover some housekeeping and then we're going to get right on to our content. So we've actually making a change in the way we do things this month. So I'm going to be referring to my script so I don't leave anything out. I usually have it memorized. But so first of all, Jahan has already touched on it, but this Zoom is presented by Breast Cancer Recovery in Action. And if you're just jumping on now, if you look at your top left corner of your Zoom, you can see that this Zoom is being recorded. This is a change for us. Moving forward, we are going to be recording our Zooms on a monthly basis, and they will be stored in YouTube and on the BRA Group's website. But when they are stored, we are going to be eliminating video. So nobody needs to worry about the fact they're ironing. You don't have to worry about wearing makeup. What's happened is we have grown tremendously over the last couple of years. We have a lot of demand from people who want to hear about our content, but who can't make this 1 hour Zoom. So we're going to be maintaining the audio portion of this presentation, and you can find it once again on YouTube or on our website. But we do think it's important that for those participants who can attend at the actual time, that they can interact with us. So right now your video screens can be on. Raise your hand if you want to talk to us. You can use the chat. But when we store this for future reference, all the video will be wiped out. So we just want to make that clear to you. And if you feel more comfortable, turn off your camera. We certainly respect your wishes. While we're doing our presentation, we would appreciate it if you would mute your microphone to avoid background noise so that we can all hear our speakers. And once again, if you have any questions, we encourage that. We want this to be an interactive, informal conversation. And so definitely raise your hand, try and get our attention, or use the chat feature. As Jahan touched on, we are a Nashville-based nonprofit that offers programming for the breast cancer community. Our programming focuses on 4 areas: emotional wellness, physical strength, nutrition, and education. And we would love for you to reach out if you're new to BRA groups and tell you more about our programs. With that, I will turn it over to Jahan to get us kicked off.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I have the pleasure of introducing the first of our 3 guest speakers. And Ashton, tell me your cohort's name. I haven't met him.
Go ahead, got it.
Hi, I'm Steve. My Kesem name is Titan.
Oh, okay. I want you to explain that. Hey, Steve, nice to meet you. So Ashton and Steve are joining us. Ashton is the outreach coordinator for camp. Is it Kesem or Kesem?
Kesem.
Kesem. Okay, I was going to mispronounce that. So I'm going to turn it over to them and let them share with you about the amazing things Camp Kesem is doing. But Ashton, I wondered if you wouldn't mind starting us off by just kind of sharing what drew you to get involved in this organization and kind of what your connection is to the work that y'all are doing.
Yeah, so my personal connection is that my mom was a cancer survivor. And when she was going through treatment and all those things, I didn't have a community like Camp Kesem. I actually didn't know about Camp Kesem at all until I came to Vanderbilt. And so I just thought it was a really awesome organization. And once I learned more about it, and then also got to be a counselor at camp and kind of see everything in action and see the effects that camp and the community had on the kids, I was like, I absolutely love this. And then getting to meet a lot of counselors who have some similar experiences to me. I've gotten my own community out of it as well that I definitely didn't expect. So
That's great. And Steve, what about you?
Yeah, well, I joined Kesem last year, and I think throughout my Vanderbilt experience, what I found really rewarding is working with kids and educating kids. And I thought this would be a cool experience and a rewarding experience. And over the summer, I really found it incredibly transformational. Working with the younger kids, um, incredibly rewarding and meaningful to offer these kids community and foster a safe space where they can really connect with each other and deal with some of these difficult, hard emotions and experiences in a loving space. It was something really amazing for me to be a part of, and I caught the bug, and I'm really excited for this summer. But yeah, it's been amazing.
I love that. Well, Lynn had her twin boys were 6 years old when she was diagnosed, and my three kids were ages 10, 8, and 6. And so we definitely know the benefit of having resources for our children when we were going through treatment and navigating something so hard. So tell us more about what Camp Kesem offers and kind of what your programming looks like.
Yeah, so just as like a general overview, Kesem, we specifically work with kids 6 through 18, so up to like their senior year of high school. And it's all kids who have a parent or primary caregiver with a cancer diagnosis. So we have some kids who their primary caregiver is their grandma, their grandpa, and that works just as well. And it's all led by college students across the country. There are about like 130 chapters across the country. So we personally are at Vanderbilt. And then there's also one at MTSU, and they're all over the place. But yeah, it's completely led by college students, college student volunteers. So the camp is completely free to all of our campers. And then, so we do the 1 week summer camp. Some chapters are able to do more than 1 week, where they can have more campers at like the second week. We aren't able to do that quite yet. But we do have year-round support that Kesem Nationals facilitates. So we have Kesem by your side. So that's our like personalized support. And a lot of times during like times of loss or difficult news, we'll send care packages, handwritten letters, things like that. We also have warm welcome. So anytime a kid joins, Kesem applies, anything like that, we send again multiple handwritten letters, and like other things in a little welcome package. We also do special deliveries like birthday cards, things like that. And then we also have friends and family days. So we do one in the fall and one in the spring, and that's on our campus. So all of our campers can come, and we'll have like, it's like 1 to 4 is our friends and family day this semester. It's on April 13th at Centennial Park. And we just do camp activities, and it's kind of like a little taste of camp since everyone kind of misses it when we're not there. And then a new thing that we have also is Club Kesem, which is a similar setup to this actually, where the campers can get on a Zoom or other virtual meetup calls monthly and kind of see all of their friends and their counselors, and catch up without having to come in person if that's something that they can't do. And we also have alumni on there, so past counselors that have graduated. And then on our website, we have a lot of resources, like family resources, education advocacy, different treatment and care resources as well. And then within our camp, we also have a teen leadership program. So our 14 to 18-year-olds get a lot of like leadership training. They get the opportunity to work with some of our younger campers, and really build like those leadership skills and increase their confidence and self-esteem in those areas.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. And I think I had mentioned when we did our pre-call that I went through treatment in Florida, and a good friend of mine, her sons had gone to one of the Florida camps twice, and unfortunately she has since passed away. So I reached out to her husband to find out if her sons were still in contact, and he got back to me and said that her 3 sons who had gone to the Camp Kesem at University of Florida, they're still in contact with the group, and they actually are still going to the group every summer, even though Marla is no longer with us, and that they have just provided so much support, and that the oldest is going to train to be a counselor.
Oh,
And so it is just, I mean, it still makes me incredibly sad, but it has been such a, I think, a community, and I'm so pleased that her sons still have this to support them. It's amazing what you guys do.
yeah, that's
Makes me
great.
teary,
Yeah, it's
honestly. It
great.
really
Of course
does.
it does.
It
It's so
does.
sweet. Well, we know, like I said, we know from personal experience the impact that groups like yours had on our children. And I just, I love, because I didn't know what you just shared. This was new information to me, but the fact that you're continuing to do the follow-up and build relationships with them throughout the year and write letters and have Zoom calls, like I didn't realize it was beyond just the summer camp experience. So
Yeah.
that's really you're creating a safe space for these kids to truly process, even if they don't talk about it, to be around other kids who understand what it's like having a parent navigating cancer. That's really special.
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
sure it's very impactful, and like Steve said, very rewarding for y'all. So tell us about how you select your campers, how you apply, how would someone with children ages 6 to 18 get involved?
Yeah, so you can just go to kesem.org and type in your like city and state, and it'll show you the chapters closest to you. So for people from Middle Tennessee, we have Vanderbilt and then MTSU. Although MTSU at this moment, they are still starting their chapter, so they do like monthly meetups. Like they went to a dinosaur museum like January or February, and funded that trip. We do our camp, and then the MTSU campers can also come to our camp as well. So you just go to kesem.org, type in your location, and it'll show you the chapters closest to you, and then you go through the application online. And then we are currently at capacity for our camp this summer. So our wait list has started. But if you get on the wait list, then you get priority to apply next summer. And then even if you can't go to camp, like I said, we have a long list of other resources. And then once the application is pushed through, once we hit, like, our maximum is 80 this summer. So once we hit that point, then everyone after that 80th application would then automatically be put on the wait list. And then we reach out to families and go over the applications with them, making sure they don't have any questions, that they don't need any extra accommodations that maybe were left off of their application. Because we also are fortunate enough to have a health and wellness team, like nurses, mental health professionals, and things like that, so that we can provide accommodations for campers who need that. And then also where we can provide like financial assistance and travel assistance as well.
Great. And so Kesem is KESAM, right? KESAM.org or .com? Which one did you say?
KESEM.org.
KESEM.org. Okay.
Okay.
We'll put that in our chat in case anybody wants to refer back to that. I wanted to make sure we
Yeah.
spelled it correctly.
And you would recommend maybe people still try to attend the April 13th session, just to learn more about,
Sorry.
learn more about your camp, so that they can familiarize themselves for other years, or maybe even spaces will open up, because 80 slots is a lot of slots. I would imagine sometimes life changes, right?
Yes, so the April 13th slot is Friends and Family Day. Yeah, it's just from 1 to 4. And yeah, it's a good opportunity to come. Like, the counselors will be there. So I'm sure meeting some more of the people who would be caring for your kid for 5 days would be quite comforting.
Right. Before you send your kid off.
And then also, there will be other campers there as well, so they can kind of get a little bit of a jump start on.
Familiar faces.
Right, yeah.
Are all the counselors from Vanderbilt, or are they coming from all different colleges?
We're all from Vanderbilt, and then we have a couple from MTSU as well.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And you mentioned it's a really extensive process to become a counselor, right? It's not something that's taken lightly.
Yeah, there's an application process, and then and our applications are reviewed by the Nationals organization as well. We have like a program coordinator, and they go through all the applications, and then we have interviews, and they take a very extensive notes during the interviews. Then that like interview transcript is also reviewed by Nationals, and then we go through, I think it's like 20 20 hours of training. So like we from like 11 to 2 every Sunday for like the past couple weeks, we've been doing trainings and learning like different skills on how to work with this population. And then yeah, we very much so extensive training. So
Oh,
And you mentioned when Steve said his Kesem name,
That's
but can
just
you
what I
tell
was
us
gonna say.
tell us about the counselor names? Because she and I have emailed before in preparation for this call, and I was like, what is happening at the bottom of this email? Because it looks like she's listing her Starbucks drink. So tell me about that.
Steve got Titan, so
Yes,
I'm
yes,
curious.
Titan,
Did you
yeah.
get to pick
One of them
that?
was like Blondie or something.
my cousin name is Blendy. So all the campers have names for privacy reasons, and we thought it would be a little weird, for, a camper to have a silly name and then for us to be walking around as like Steve and Ashton. So, we also get custom names, and the way counselors do it is we'll like sit in a room full of everyone and they'll ask us like random questions and then we'll answer and then we like write down a list of our answers. So like I got mine because someone asked me what my favorite kitchen appliance was, like just the most random question. I said a blender because I like smoothies, and then someone was like, "Wait, Blendy is like a cuter version of blender." So I don't know how you got your cousin name, but
Yeah, I mean, mine was from, I got this crazy surgery on my chest, so I have a titanium bar in my chest, and people were like, Titan, that's a really cool name, so.
Nice.
I think it's impressive.
Yeah, very cool. All right, thank you for sharing that. So sorry if you think Lynn and I look like we have jaundice. My ring light is flashing back and forth on and off. This is live
Either
TV.
that or we're
I don't
both having
know.
seizures.
Or
We're not really
yeah.
sure.
Or we may be having the aura from migraines. I don't know, but our light is acting weird. But my husband, we say that my husband is our producer. We're in his home office. And he had the audacity to travel for work this week, so we're on our own. So leave it to us to be having ring light problems.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, y'all, if you're
it's
wondering
life
what's
in a
going on.
nonprofit. We operate in a shoestring budget.
That's right. All right, well, any questions
you.
for the Kesem folks? If you have any, you're welcome to submit questions in the chat or just raise your hand if you want to ask them anything. But thank you guys both for being here. I really
Yeah.
appreciate you providing this information
Cannot-
and for what y'all are doing. It's just
Yeah, I
amazing.
can't recommend it enough.
Yeah.
I really,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
was telling Jahan it would be like my greatest dream for my kids to get involved in something like that,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. You're welcome to stay and listen or go about this beautiful sunny day.
Whatever you do. Thank you, Ashton. Thanks, Steve.
All right. Well, now we're going to change directions a little bit. And we're moving to our friend Susan from Casting for Recovery, who has, I think, a really interesting experience. And I'm hoping that you'll tell us a little bit about your experience as a fly fishing instructor and how you got involved in Casting for Recovery.
Okay, sure. I was really impressed with the last speaker. So, or two speakers. What a great organization that is. And I'll be sure to pass this on to our participants whenever we meet up. But again, my name's Susan Thrasher. I have probably, I think, the greatest job ever, where I teach people to fly fish and take them out on the river on guided trips. My personal business name is Southern Brookies. But I got involved with a group called Casting for Recovery after back in 2007, I started a women's fly fishing club along with a friend of mine in Nashville. We're called the Music City Fly Girls. We have about 60 members and we do a lot of traveling together and just fish together. So if anybody's ever interested in that too, it's called Music City Fly Girls. But one of the things that we wanted to do as a group when we first started was to try to do something in the community. And it came to my attention, there was a nationwide organization called Casting for Recovery, which is an organization that teaches women that have had or currently are struggling with breast cancer. We teach them to fly fish. And so there are 2 retreats that are held in Tennessee. No matter where you are in the country, there is a retreat that would be available for you. but there are two that are located locally in Tennessee, one in East Tennessee, and then the one that I run is in Middle Tennessee. And our retreat this year is going to be the first weekend in October, October 4th through the 6th. And if you want to read a little bit more about Casting for Recovery, it's you can just get on the website castingforrecovery.org, and that's how you apply. There's only 14 participants that are selected each year, and there are 7 staff members. And as part of the staff, we have a psychologist, we have an oncology nurse, and then a lot of hospitality people that just make everyone feel welcome. And I'd like to just walk through a typical camp agenda, if that sounds okay to you guys.
Sure.
So if you're selected, and I would recommend if anybody is interested in this, it doesn't mean that you have to forevermore be a fly fisher. In fact, many people that register and go through the camp a lot of times don't ever pick up a fly rod again. But it's such a great experience just being out in the outdoors. So when you do sign up, if for whatever reason you may not be selected, right off the bat, we keep a whole roster of alternates, and many times the entire camp is full of alternates because life happens. For one reason or another, someone couldn't show up. So don't get discouraged if you aren't selected right away. But anyway, you show up at the retreat center. It's in Normandy, Tennessee, located right on the Duck River. Beautiful rolling pasture grounds, a lot of trees. I mean, it's just the most beautiful, tranquil setting, and beautiful cabins, very relaxing. So you show up on a Friday afternoon. You're greeted. We take your bags just like a concierge or a valet would take your bags up to your room. You're checked in. You're given your fly fishing equipment. You're fitted for waders and boots and given your fly rod. And then you go to your room and you can relax just until time for our little icebreaker. Last year, we all gathered around a campfire right down at the river, and folks introduced themselves. It was just a very easy, comfortable, no pressure kind of a situation that was outside. I mean, just a beautiful fall day. And then we went in and had a delicious dinner. So, and this is a no cost retreat for the women that are selected. We do all of our fundraising during the year, so it's at no cost whatsoever. And the food is absolutely amazing. So we have our dinner, and then just a little bit of an icebreaker afterwards. And then we turn people loose so they can go on to bed. Most times, because all the participants are housed in 2 separate cabins, folks begin to bond like immediately, just right away. And we have to tell folks, y'all need to go to bed because you got a busy day the next day, because there's lots of chit chat, which is wonderful. That's exactly what we want, because how often do you have an opportunity to have yourself surrounded by 13 other people that are struggling and going through challenges just like you are? So that's one of the things that, we really encourage the bonding with the participants. So anyway, the next morning we get up, have a nice breakfast. I'm the actual retreat leader and the instructor, and just talk you through everything you ever want to know about fly fishing. And then we get you out on the pond for some casting practice. We break for lunch, and our nurse oncologist will talk through and answer any questions, giving some of the most recent studies, some of the most recent, different therapies. There's good talks about lymphedema. And anyway, that lasts about an hour and a half or so. And then we come back and we teach you how to tie flies. And then those flies that you would be tying, we take out on the pond. A lot of folks don't want to use them because they just spent 2 hours tying those flies. So they want to keep they're like, no, don't make me use my fly. But it's really fun to catch a fish on a fly that you've tied yourself. And so we have little casting ponds that's full of bass and brim and catfish, and folks will just practice, along the pond during the day, and then we break, have a dinner, and there's some relaxing time if people want to just take a walk or just enjoy, talking amongst themselves, and then after the dinner that night. There is a share session that's led by the psychologist. And again, everybody gets into the cabin. It's very cozy and comfortable, and there's no pressure whatsoever to share. But we find that people are almost talking over themselves because they can't wait to share their story and just get feedback, from others. And that's a lot of times when we put out the survey, to see what people liked, the most, or they like the least. I mean, everybody enjoys being in the river and fishing, but one of the things that they really find beneficial is the share session that night. So anyway, again, we try to get people to retire early on that Friday night or Saturday night, because on Sunday, that's the climactic event, and we have 14 guides that join us that next day there at the on the river. You have a breakfast first, and then come to the river, and you're joined up to your guide. And in a lot of cases, these are guides, professional guides, or they are people that should be guides because they spend almost all of their waking time on the river fishing, but they love to teach people to fish too. So you are connected then for a half a day of guided fishing on the Duck River. And if the fish aren't biting on the duck, then we always have the pond to go back to. And then after that half day of fishing, we go back up to the camp and we have a big celebration lunch, and the guides all stay, together with their participants so we can have some pictures taken. And it's just a big celebration. And it's so interesting, people kind of show up a little bit shy, not sure what to expect. And by that last day, people are very reluctant to even want to leave and to go home because it's been such a great bonding experience. And I can tell you, I can vouch for you after doing this for 14 years, that as volunteers, we get as much, if not more, out of it than probably the participants do. I mean, it's such a rewarding experience, just like the other two we're talking about that first started talking. So anyway, I would encourage you, if nothing else, even if you look at fish and say, I don't want to touch that fish, even if you feel like that, the bonding experience, the food, just being in the setting alone is just worth going. And then, of course, I think you get the fly fishing aspect of it. It's such a beautiful sport, just on top of that. But the application deadline is July the 25th. So you have some time that you can get online, take a look at the camp. Normandy, Tennessee isn't, but maybe an hour or so outside of Nashville. So it's an easy drive to get there. And again, it's a beautiful setting. It won't cost you anything except the gas just to get there. And that's what it's all about. So yeah, I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah. It sounds amazing. Susan, Lynn and I have both applied. We haven't been selected yet, but we're hopeful that one of these times we will be, because it sounds amazing. And I think you're like you said, it's the setting, it's the fresh air, being outdoors in nature, the community of meeting other people with a shared experience, and then just being really cared for and kind of treated like royalty by these guys. That's really amazing. So I appreciate that so much. What would you say is your favorite part about working, particularly with breast cancer survivors? Do you have something?
I really enjoy being out on the pond after we've first shown them the casting part, because it doesn't matter if it is a little bluegill the size of your little finger. People get so excited just catching that first little fish on a fly. And I think just, that part of it, as well as getting to know people and, understanding the struggle, and just some of the comments. I mean, we've had comments come back that, wow, for a whole weekend, I didn't feel like I was a cancer patient,
Mhm.
or, what hope, that I have been given. And, just in relating with other women that are struggling through the same things. So it's probably between watching the first fish being caught on a fly and then reading through some of the comments at the end to know just how much these retreats are touching people. Those are probably my two equal favorites.
Yeah,
Right.
that's great.
What happens to the fish that people catch? Do we have to clean them?
Well, we are completely catch and release, and
Okay.
so we show folks how to very gently return them back into the water. I'm a believer. If you want fish, let's just go to Long John Silver's, and we'll get some. So they fry it up. They fry it up pretty good there. But no, as a fly fisherman, 99% of the fly fishermen you will meet are catch and release, and so that's what we teach.
All right. Well, that was actually more of a jokey question.
Yeah.
But I think when we talked the first time, you mentioned that some people have joined the Music City Fly Girls, and some people have formed like long relationships from these groups.
Oh, absolutely. We have, I bet you, at least 15 past participants have joined in with the Music City Fly Girls, and now, I mean, they're one of our regular members, and travel with us. We've gone on many trips as the Fly Girls. We've done trips to Canada to fly fish. We're getting ready to go to Michigan to fish on the Osable River. We've been up into the high Sierras in California, around Montana. We're going to Wyoming this year. That's completely separate from Casting for Recovery, but it's kind of like your foot in the door, just to find out about the Music City Fly Girls, and which is another it's a wonderful organization, and gives you an opportunity, since the Music City Fly Girls are the ones that basically are the volunteers for Casting for Recovery in our area. Anyway, if you join up with the club, or even if you don't as an alumni and just want to come back as a volunteer, we're welcome to have that as well.
That's wonderful.
That's great. I have a quick question. It may seem ignorant, but I'm just curious. Are there requirements as to how far out from treatment you need to be before you apply? Because I'm just thinking about the motion of casting and if you'd have surgery or radiation on your upper chest. I just was curious about that.
No, we have people that are right in the middle of treatment that come, some that have been first diagnosed, and some that have been out or in remission for years and years afterwards. So it's in all different stages. And one of the things about the casting, it was founded by a guide, a professional guide, female guide, and a breast cancer surgeon. And one of the things they were saying about the motion of the cast is it helps with some of the muscle tissue, just in building that back up, and the elasticity. And so, of course, everyone is very, very cognizant about the lymphedema issues, and being very careful with the arm and any infections and all. And that's why we have our nurse oncologist that's there, just reminding everybody how careful we have to be. And if someone's having trouble with one arm, then we teach with the other arm, because muscle memory is muscle memory. And so if you're learning something new, doesn't matter if you have to learn it with your left hand or your right hand. But that's a very good question. But we do have people that come in all different stages.
Great. That's so great.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Well, I can see from the chat that you already have one new application.
All right. Excellent.
People interested.
Success.
Wonderful.
Success.
That's right.
That's wonderful.
On the call right now, you have 3 applications.
All right. Hooray.
Pretty good
I can already tell we're going to become instant friends. And that's typically what happens with our staff. We bond so closely with the women that come out, and really encourage them. Come on and join the Fly Girls, even if you don't want to fish. Some of the traveling and bonding. I mean, you just have instant friends after it's all over.
We find that in our small group discussions at BRA groups. When you have this
Yes.
really major common denominator, and people just strike up conversation, and it's different than regular small talk, right? And
Yes, exactly.
that you ordinarily might not have had this big thing in common with, and you just form a connection so much faster. It just cuts through so much of the small
Yes,
talk. And so it's,
yes.
um,
And I
wow.
did send, I emailed one of you my information with my telephone number, my email address, and the Casting for Recovery site. So feel free to pass that on to everyone that's on the call. And if there's any other follow-up questions or anything, you can email me or call me. I'm open for that, for sure.
Thank you so much. And it's so inspirational what you're doing. So thank you
Yeah.
for this and for the organization and participating. I'm just excited to know it's out there.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
These times.
Yeah, I hope so.
You bet.
Thank
You
you.
bet.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, how are we doing on time? Okay,
Yeah,
we're pretty
perfect.
good. We're doing
Perfect,
pretty
good.
good. All right, so I have the privilege of introducing our third and final guest, Helen from Brighter Magazine. Where is? Oh, there she is. I was like, well, I lost her. There she is. I see her now. Helen and I actually have a mutual friend. So we were introduced a few months ago, and when Lynn and I started talking about tapping into some breast cancer resources, I immediately thought of what Helen is up to with her magazine. So I don't want to steal her thunder, but thank you for joining us from Texas. We're so grateful that you're here, and would love if you would just kick it off by kind of telling the story of how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I think it's fun because our mutual friend is also how I know about Susan.
Oh,
Rebecca Walden is a great connection here for us in the DFW Metroplex area. And so I was just going to say, we actually did an article on Casting for Recovery. That's Rebecca there standing in the river.
Oh, how neat. What a small world. That's
Yeah.
great.
So we do a piece in the magazine each quarter if we can. In fact, anyone who's picked up new hobbies as a result of treatment or life changes after treatment, we do her new hobbies. And so Rebecca shared her love of fly fishing and her experience with casting recovery with us last summer. So that was our last summer issue. But and then I'll say my name's Helen Bowles and my camp name is Gig. So I was a camp counselor as well, and I'm very familiar. And my husband is PT, which stands for playtime, if that gives you any perspective on his level of maturity at the point when we were all working at summer camp.
he sounds fun.
Yes. So we worked for the YMCA, and that's kind of where my journey actually, honestly, for Brighter Magazine started. I met my husband working summer camp at the Y, but moved into recruiting and working for them in their association office here in the Dallas Metroplex, and recruited a woman who became Aunt Jean to my children. And my mom passed away of pancreatic cancer just shortly before my oldest was born. And then Aunt Jean was diagnosed with ovarian cancer about 2017. And so I would go visit her during treatment, and she was single and traveled and always had a lifestyle magazine in her handbag when she would go, and it brought her excitement for the upcoming season. And as many of you know, having gone through treatment, your skin changes, your hair changes, your bodies change, your relationship statuses change, like everything just becomes complicated. And she said, these magazines now make me sad and make me feel isolated. Someone needs to create a publication like this, but for women like me. And so that was the start of Brighter Magazine. I didn't actually get to work on it for a few years. In fact, she had passed away by the time I was able to put my energy into it, but there's a lot of love and a lot of her in this publication. So yeah, this is Brighter Magazine. We're the only lifestyle magazine for women affected by cancer. And we feature survivor stories of hope, and cover topics on things like hair loss, mental health, health and wellness, adaptive fashion, those kinds of things, to encourage women to understand, remind you that you guys aren't alone, that there's a whole community out there that are dealing with the things that you're dealing with. And we say we serve the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being of women in any stage of life post-cancer diagnosis. So any type of cancer, any stage of life, you take it with you. I told you two when we were having our conversation earlier, I had skin cancer on my eye and have had surgery for that, and have not done any treatment necessarily from the standpoint of immunotherapy or chemotherapy or radiation or anything of that. But I know that I still have that nagging little voice in my head that says, watch your lungs, watch your skin, where's it coming up later? Like, and that's just one of those things that we take with us moving forward, right? And so we try to cover all those topics, and we try not to avoid the difficult topics like intimacy or death. We recognize that there are some women who are going to come out of this victorious, and some people's victory is going to look very different. And so we try to address all of those things. And we've, in the last year, started doing some more programs. We reach women across the nation and in some other countries, which I know you girls asked me to find out exactly which countries, and I wasn't able to do that.
Okay, that's okay.
Just
But
curious.
didn't you said you're in
We
all
have a
50
wide reach.
Yeah, 50 states and 7 countries, right? Is that what you told me?
Yes,
That's in a
yes.
relatively short amount of time. That is
Yeah.
really
We've-
speaks to the need for what you're
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we had a breast surgeon who said this is greatly needed and vastly overdue.
Yeah.
I think it's spread as word of mouth. We started as a for-profit and quickly realized that the cost of a magazine for a woman going through treatment may be something that's just not on the horizon. And so on the flip side of that, we had donors who wanted to provide magazines for women. And so we pivoted and filed for 501c3. And then it's just been, I think, word of mouth. And anytime I go into another town, I try to visit. So that's how we're at Vanderbilt Health
Right.
there in Tennessee, and at Ballard in Northeastern Tennessee, and the cancer support communities there. And we're just honored to be able to reach these women.
Right. And you're primarily in print, right? But I did buy a digital copy because I wanted to see what it was all about. And it was the copy that had Katie Fleener, who is a beautiful woman from Tennessee.
Right.
Inspiring young woman, a fellow triple negative. And I mean, it was an amazing, magazine who, even though I'm 7 years out, I'm still interested in reading. It had very interesting articles, I thought.
Thank you. Yeah, we've gotten great reception. All of our content, so we're nonprofit, so the magazine is free to women subscribing. We do give the opportunity to cover the cost or make a donation at the time of subscription, and you can do that on our website at brightermagazine.org.
We're gonna put that in the chat.
Yeah, we've already got a
We,
question about
oh,
how to
great,
get
great.
Subscribing for a print copy.
Yeah, and all our content is it's from medical professionals. So we don't want to be the specialists. We're going to let the specialists be the specialists, but they can provide that information. And then a lot of the content is just really valuable because it's written by survivors like you guys. And so you guys have gone through these experiences firsthand. And so it's been great to make the connection, be that connector between women who've been there and women who are there, or starting the journey. Just really special.
I'm curious about how you do you have a team or a group? I mean, I'm just curious, like how y'all talk to, how you solicit guest writers, and how you have ideas for the topics for the next magazine, and kind of what you're tapping into in terms of like survivor pool. I'm just curious.
Sure. Yeah, we're open. I mean, we get emails from women who want to write on a regular basis. And so we just we send out a call for content quarterly. And then so far it's been really organic. We haven't had to orchestrate it a whole lot. We'll say, okay, for this issue, we're going to kind of focus on this. And then women will respond back and say, hey, how about if I cover this topic? How about if I cover that? And we're like, that's great. Or we can say, well, we covered that 2 issues ago, or someone else has already mentioned that. So what about this? And so it's been pretty organic, and it's just been beautiful the way it's stitched together.
I love that.
Yeah,
So great.
remember, so we had Rebecca on BRA Banter last year. Did she tell me you guys were working with like a local school to?
Yes.
Isn't
Yes.
it, I think I have a friend whose daughter goes there, and I think
Oh,
that
okay.
to do some like working with like helping these young women kind of get in editorial experience. Is that still happening or?
Yes, absolutely. So last year, we just realized that the publication is still very at arm's length from the community we serve and really wanted to engage more with survivors. So 2 programs that we have, well, we actually have 3 programs that we've started this year. One has been around before, and that's the internship program. I think we're going to change it and call it the summer program, because even though there are internship aspects of that, we really try to integrate survivors coming in and sharing their stories, oncologists coming in and educating, and it's more of an awareness and an education piece for the next generation of women. We're really trying, we would love to see those diagnoses. I mean, we're all aware of the fact that diagnoses are happening at younger and younger ages, and for these young women to be equipped when either they get that call or their friends get that call, or, you know, their friends confide in them that, hey, I'm having something going on, and they're educated enough to go, oh, you need to go see your doctor or talk to your mom or something, you know, depending on what's going on. So we do that with the local high school here. It's open to other high schools, but we've got a really good connection with the Hockaday School here in Dallas. Last year, we had 15 young ladies that gave us of their time on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and would do anything from helping us with technology to researching and writing content. I know. To research and writing.
To be my personal assistant.
I know they're amazing and they're so smart. And we chuckle because there are some of us our age, and then it's like the 20 years younger than us. And I'll stand and I'll be talking to one of my age people and say, hey, I wonder if we could, and by the time I even get the sentence finished, one of the girls is like, done, here you go. You know, we haven't even thought it out and they've already got it done and executed.
You're like, I'm still trying to figure out how to ask the question.
Right.
Yes, yes.
So funny.
And then our other 2 programs are social survivors. We've started doing social evenings, kind of like this, where we bring in a specialist in an area. We did skincare and did a Get Unready with Me with Natura Bissay and their foundation that serves in the oncology skincare area. And last month we did a talk on chemo brain and really understanding that and getting tips and tricks to combat that. And so we'll do those probably every other month. And then we have the ambassador program, which is women who are already using their social media reach to serve women coming behind them. And so they're one of the girls, I think she wrote me a note and said, it gives purpose to my pain. And so we are equipping them with resources that then they can share with their social media following. So in effect, making an impact on that next generation of women that's coming behind.
And how do people find out about these programs? Is that in the magazine or is it
They're
media?
Yeah, in the magazine on our website.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jahan and I are both very interested in chemo brain ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
Either that or we're aging.
Or maybe
quickly.
it's just overstimulated middle-aged mother of 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sat in there, was like, I don't know what if this doesn't apply to me.
Yes, we can all call chemo brain. We've got, okay, she said she subscribed and donated. So you've already got one subscriber out of
Thank you.
this.
That's wonderful.
I love that. Thank you. Well, I wanted to ask, how are participants, you mentioned that you're in Vanderbilt and some other cancer care centers in Tennessee, but how is there, if there was somebody that was, say, going to Tennessee Oncology or St. Thomas or a different group, how would they get your magazine into the waiting rooms there?
Sure. What we do is we go in and we either try to connect with a nurse navigator. Usually the oncologists are pretty busy, but if there's a nurse navigator or social worker or someone like that in your facility that can be a point person, you can introduce the magazine to them and they can reach out to us, and then we can connect with them on how many they need per quarter and that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Huh.
All right.
Let's think.
Did we have any
Let's see,
other?
we got a few more minutes. So does anybody on the call have more questions? I'm gonna look at my notes real quick and see if we had more questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
it says-
All right, we do.
We have a question here. It says, okay, oh, this is from, is it Angarad? I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Angarad. She just subscribed and donated, and she said she finished 30 rounds of radiation at Vanderbilt and met with the nurse coordinator, but was not told about this magazine.
Yeah.
So I wonder, are they putting them like in those,
Yeah.
like where the brochures are, or do you think they're in waiting rooms, or do you even know,
Well,
Helen?
Honestly, I don't even know. I think, they get, at this point, it's one of those things that we only produce quarterly. I
Uh-huh.
think we probably send maybe 300 to Vanderbilt. And I mean, we all know they're seeing a lot more women than that, sadly.
Right,
Sure.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, multiple.
So
Really.
we're still trying to find that, we would love to find a better way to partner financially with the medical facilities so that we can ensure that they have enough for every woman to get one. And some hospitals, they put them in new patient packets. It's really up to the hospital as to what they do with them. So I'm sorry to hear that you didn't have access to it. It makes me a little sad.
Yeah.
But we also know we've gotten connections from the facility. So I think it may just depend on when appointments are timed, sadly.
Right, and where you are. Well, I was just thinking it's this kind of thing
Yeah.
to raise awareness and by word of mouth in the survivor community, because I know like I would like to read it myself, but I'd also like to include it in a care package that I'm sending to a newly diagnosed friend.
Right.
You know, like there's going to be ways that I would like to use it
Yeah.
going forward. And so, and even just talking to our
Well,
providers.
in
about
the infusion chair, like,
Right,
that would be
right,
great.
exactly, a stack of them in the
There
infusion
were
center.
sometimes I would bring stuff with me, but I didn't always feel like reading whatever I had, like it's just a stack of those sitting around would have
Yeah.
been nice.
Yeah.
So we got a
Well,
couple.
I'll just say, Angarad, if you can help me out, I mean, I'd love to connect better with whoever you think would be a good connector there, because we just worked with the person that was introduced to us when we walked in, and maybe there's a more, effective relationship to build.
Yeah, can I say something?
Please.
Sure.
Yeah, hi. It's Angharad here. I've just, like I said, I just finished 30 rounds of radiation. This is a recurrence. I was diagnosed 8 years ago and it's come back. So I was not treated in America the first time around. I was treated in London, and I was very happy to be part of Vanderbilt. And I go to see Dr. Park. He's my oncologist who loves you guys, which is why I'm on these calls. He told me, get on them. And then I see him.
Thank you. Yeah.
He's a special individual, and he has nothing but great things to say about your organization, which is how I'm involved now. And I want to be, and possibly more in future. And I go to his office in Belmead, and I met with, I don't know what the title is. Is she a nurse coordinator? I don't know. She's somebody that you go to for sort of counseling or nutrition. And I asked her if I can take soy or if I can, supplements. And I don't know. She's works there in Belmead, I think 2 or 3 times a week. Your magazine is not in the radiation department down in the dungeon of Vanderbilt downtown. It's not in Belmead in the reception area. The lady that gave me the packet, which I have behind me, I think her name was I'm not. She's not a doctor, I don't think. But I got the care packet, not in there either, and I'm really surprised because I've asked so many questions about hair thinning, shampoo, conditioner. Can I have Botox? This is a recurrence. What's the prognosis for recurrence? Can I take soy? Can I lose weight? All these drugs that I'm taking, the side effect. And I know now that you're going to have answers to this, because to date, I have not had a single answer to any of the questions that I've asked Vanderbilt. Zero.
Wow.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Well, yeah, we did have in the chat, I think, let's see. Somebody from BRA says, as an organization, we have the same distribution problem. So it's at 100 Oaks, which is where the large breast center is. So Helen, we can communicate with you about the list of Vanderbilt locations in the area. Might be helpful for you to follow up on that.
I think the connection we have in downtown is actually with the and maybe Family and Patient Services has an office there in the downtown facility.
Mm.
But
Right.
yeah, I'd love to find out who's doing those packets, and we'd love to be able to
Yeah,
connect.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry that's been your experience. I hate that you've
Yeah.
asked all these questions and
Well,
they've not gone unanswered. That's frustrating.
I mean, honestly, going to Dr. Park, it's surprising because he's very proactive. Like what we've heard just yesterday, we were facilitating a small group and somebody mentioned
Mhm.
having an issue in a different department, and he was so on top of it. So if you do feel like you're not getting, appropriate answers from other departments, you might want to mention it at your next conversation with him.
Mhm.
He is director of the whole cancer center. He will make sure you get the answers.
Yeah,
That's just who Dr. Park is.
that's right. I would take
He's an
advantage of him.
extremely thorough individual and
Mhm.
who runs the whole place, and he'll
Mhm.
make sure it's taken care of. You shouldn't have to do that. But I can tell you of all the people, he will make sure.
You know the right guy.
Yeah, you
I'm
do.
glad you've joined us regardless. I'm sorry you're
Yeah.
not getting these answers, but
And we'd love to have you involved in more. if you-
absolutely,
just-
absolutely. And all of you, that goes for all of you. It's so
course.
nice to see all of you today. Helen, thank you for sharing
Let's
the
see.
amazing work you're doing at Brighter Magazine. I hope that this will be the beginning of us being able to kind of partner together, because I think y'all are doing such good work and we'd love to promote it more here. And like I said, I personally want to subscribe and then be able to gift your magazine to friends. So thank you for what you're doing.
Yes.
I'm sure that your
Thank you.
mom and your Aunt Jean would be very honored by this work.
Yeah.
Um,
So we will get these 3 websites there's an email that goes out to everybody who signed up for this banter. We'll get these the website included in that. And then, as we mentioned earlier, the recording will be up on our website. And
That's right. And
that
one-
will be a good start for everybody, I hope. Info@brawgroups.org is always available for any follow-up questions. Jahan's getting ready to share a screen
Sorry.
regarding our next, I know we are slightly technologically
Yeah, I hope y'all can see
Russia.
that.
and amongst many other things.
Yeah, you can probably, if you can,
Jahan's a very busy
if
woman.
you can see my whole desktop, I apologize. I'm trying to make it,
Anyhow, in April, we will be talking about dental health with Jill Meyer-Lippert. This is a topic that has come up from several BRA participants. Chemo, radiation, different drugs can do a real number on your teeth. And we are very interested in getting some input from Ms. Meyer-Lippert on what we should address with our dentist in
Mhm.
terms of what to be proactive about in making sure that we're getting the best care for our teeth.
Yeah, so please-
depending on our different medications, our different treatment plans.
right. So please join us. That's on April the 17th. And Jill is a dental hygienist, and she also, it's like a lot of these organizations, it's born out of a relationship with somebody she loved who had cancer and saw that need, and she started as a side effect support group. So anyway, that she's going to talk to us about the dental health.
And
But
I saw Helen waving.
okay,
Yeah,
thank
she's fantastic, and
you
she,
know her.
yeah,
Everybody,
yeah,
Helen.
you do.
What do you
Let's-
not know?
her products have helped a lot of women that we know. So I'm glad to see you guys have got her.
Well, we're thrilled she's coming too. So
Yeah.
thank you for joining us today. We are so happy to see all of you. I hope this has been beneficial, helpful. Like Lynn said, we'll email you with the information where you can find these great resources, and we just encourage you to go take advantage of them.
Okay. All right.
Thanks,
Have a great
everybody.
day. Thank
Hope
you
to
for
see you in
attending.
April. Bye. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.